Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a jelly printing video and I have a new technique that you can use with your stencil to create patterns on your jelly plate. And what I did is I used the stencils to emboss some thicker paper. These are only the backings that come with the stencil, and I used them because they were laying around and I just thought about upcycling or recycling the paper, and so I embossed them with my Big Shot. I will link up a tutorial on how to do this in the video description. And with this embossed paper I'm going to make the patterns on my plate. And what I really like about it is that you don't mess up your stencils with paint, and also you get quite interesting textures, and I feel it's much more easier than using the stencil directly. Of course you can still use the stencils on the jelly plate also, and it will give you some different textures, and that's I think it's a really fun technique, and I hope you will enjoy it. Here I'm just cutting around that embossing to have not much of a frame around it, so it's just that texture, and I keep a little area where I can hold it in my hands. You will see when I'm printing how this is working out. I have already tried that out and worked with some of the embossed pieces of cardstock, and you can use the front and the back side depending on what you're using. You will get a different kind of pattern. And I will now just start and create some prints. I will write the colors I'm using today in the video description. I'm using mainly paints from Amsterdam and Schmincke, and I have one paint from Lefranc and Bourgeois. It's the Paynes gray that I'm going to use later in the video. And I just braid down the paint and lay that stenciled image onto my plate. When you're using these texture pieces or these textured papers, they will get covered with paint over time, and that will help to release some paint from them. So if you are laying it into paint and then lay it onto the other area on your plate, it will transfer some of the paint onto the jelly plate. That doesn't work as long as the papers are fresh, because the paint will just stick to the paper. I hope this makes sense. The stencil I've used for this print was our new Leaves #2 stencil. I will make a flip through all the prints at the end of the video. I mainly use autumn colors because as we are heading into autumn, I might want to create some autumnal greeting cards or pages that are a bit more autumn inspired. I am a person that is mainly inspired by the season, especially when it comes to colors. Of course, you can use any kind of cardstock for this technique. You don't have to use the backings of the stencil. I just thought it would be a good idea. So they are perfect for the Big Shot to run through, and I would just have thrown them away. I really love this pattern. It's our Big Ovals stencil. It's amazing for jelly printing. I also love it when it's embossed as a background for a greeting card. I'm often a bit impatient and go on top with a second layer of paint to pull my print too soon. I recommend letting that layer of paint dry a little bit, not very long, maybe 2 minutes. because then you will get a better print. If you are starting too early to add a next layer, it will smear the layer that is on your plate. And of course, you can also use this technique and then print right away. But I prefer making more layers for my jelly prints. Not sure why. Here I just use the air to let it dry a bit more. I'm keeping this video in real time so you can play along with me, and you don't have to stop in between. The papers that I'm using are just normal printer papers. I recently started printing into a spiral bound journal, and I love this. I already made a video, and I'm not sure when I will edit it and upload. I ordered some more spiral bound journals that are bigger, that are a landscape A4 size, which will fit my bigger jelly plate perfectly. And I plan to make some prints with them, and maybe I will record this as well and then put both videos in one. Something else I wanted to mention here is that I made a subscription on my Instagram page. It's a paid subscription with around $3 a month. And there you will get some exclusive content, and that will be some extra process videos which are longer than the reel and with voiceover. All around making collage papers, making collages, or sometimes stamping, card making, all that kind of creative stuff. I invested a lot of time in making videos for Instagram, and I don't longer want to give Instagram or the algorithm free content to put in a lot of advertising. So I decided to leave the I would say more valuable content to just some exclusive people that are really interested in that. It also supports my YouTube channel and my Instagram page, so I can easily keep on doing all the content. I just want to mention that I really love this stencil I've just used before. It's our organic number 3, and I think it makes amazing prints and backgrounds. It's perfect for ocean themed projects, I feel, and I'm really looking forward to use this more in the future. Here I'm trying to create kind of a rainbow color scheme on my plate because I want to use that rainbow stencil on the plate. It would have been better to make it in the other direction. You will see why when I'm using the textured paper to make the pattern. It's quite nice. If you like rainbows and rainbow prints, it might be perfect. I am not such a big fan of rainbow colors. I do not often use them. If I had laid out the paint in the other direction, it would have been possible to make a full to place that stencil impression on in the other direction, so I would get a full size print, if that makes sense. But now I have to lay out that pattern paper that it matches the rainbow. I decided to pick a different pattern to the top. For the top, there's just this leftover green area, and I'm using our mini ink dots pattern. This is the Paynes Gray from Lefranc and Bourgeois. I love Paynes Gray, especially for some kind of neutral prints. And I think this is going to be a more not so bright and colorful print. I think I often do not do enough of these kind of neutral papers because you always need them to just make the others that are colorful pop on your projects. It's just you need those to balance the colors out a little, I feel. I'm someone who loves it bright and colorful, but I like to balance that a little bit with some more neutral colors, black and white or grays, or just as simple as this one, which is not so colorful. It's more muted with that green and the Paynes gray. The pattern I've used here is our marks, and I'm not sure if I've used the same on the bottom. We will see once I am pulling the print. Now I put my glasses on, and I think I used the mini ink dots for the green part at the bottom. I'm editing the video on my phone, and that means I have to put it quite close to my head to do the voiceover. But then I don't see very well what is on screen. And now I got some glasses, and that makes it a bit easier for me to see what I'm doing. And here I'm trying that out. I'm picking a pattern that has already some paint on it, and hopefully it will just release some of this paint to the yellow side. Not sure if this worked. I think as soon as there is more paint on that paper, it will just release some of the paint that was picked up. Here I combined these ink dots and the crisscross stencil to create just an interesting pattern. I don't press hard when I lay down the paper. I just press lightly over it because I don't want to pick up all the paint. And here I had quite a funny effect. There is some printing on our backings of the stencils, and they left some images on my plate, just like if you would use a laser print with your Gelli plate. And that's quite a nice thing. You get some extra texture on your papers when you're using the backings, or maybe any other backing you have laying around. This was my last print for today. I will now flip through all the prints I've done today so you can have a look at them. There might be some in here just like this one that I've done before to experiment and try out how these texture plates are working. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and of course I love to read your comments. I always read them. I do not always reply immediately because sometimes I just don't have time and I just read them on my phone, but I'm always happy to read them. I wish you a wonderful weekend and I hope we will see us next time. Bye.